Everyone, what's going on? So the other day, on July 22nd, we had what is called RAGBRAI kind of come through the town that I live in. It didn't really come through the town that I live in, but they had an alternate route for buses and whatnot, and the gas station that I work at was super busy because of it. And what RAGBRAI is it's the Register's annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa. And people from all over the world come to Iowa and basically they ride their bikes all the way across the state. And then they stop and camp at certain places. And moral of the story, it was really busy at work, and I figured when I come home I'd look into RAGBRAI and see if it was coded by the numbers. And of course it is. So if you're new to what I'm going to talk about in this video, please check out some links in the description. But I talk about signs and symbolism and also what is called gematria or gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. And you'll learn that it stems back to ancient things such as Kabbalah, which has the core belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number, and much more. But there are tons of celebrities who practice this knowledge, such as Roseanne, who just got canceled by the numbers, and it syncs up to your people's birthdays and events. So just check out some links in the description, and you'll see more of what I'm talking about. And anyway, what's interesting, I come home and I look up RAGBRAI, and I figured, oh, I'll look up the founders to see when their birthdays are, maybe possibly if they're still alive and whatnot, and how it syncs up to RAGBRAI. And the only person that I could click on was this guy Donald Call, and I clicked on him, and lo and behold, he just so happened to die on July 22nd, the day that RAGBRAI began this year, the day that the 46th annual RAGBRAI began this year. And if you know gematria, you know that 46 is a number that you often see around, like, sacrifices. The 46th anniversary, the word sacrifice equals 46. It also equals 73, and if you notice, RAGBRAI was inaugurated in the year 73. So it's super fitting that on the 46th anniversary, one of the founders would die. Sacrifice. And there are people who understand this knowledge and they murder people by the numbers. Just think about the Police song called Murder by Numbers. That, 1, 2, 3, it's as easy as your ABCs. It came out in the year 1983. The word murder equals 83. There's also a band from Iowa called Slipknot that has a song called Gematria, the Killing Name. And their bass player, he died all by the numbers, and he even died synced up to that song. So just check it out. I have some links in the description for some of that. But that's why they say your number was up when you die sometimes. It's because this system truly exists around us, and there are people who are sacrificing people, to manipulate the way this world works and essentially play God over the rest of us. So right off the bat, I noticed that, right? So sacrifice 46th anniversary, and it began in 73, just like sacrifice. But this guy's name, Donald Call, equals 32 in gematria, just like the word bicycle. How fitting for this guy to, create an event that involves bicycles. His name equals the same as bicycle. What it's actually called, Register's annual Great Bike Ride across Iowa, equals 227, and he died on the date 22/7, and that's also the date that it began this year, 227. In 1973, when RAGBRAI began, he was 38 years old, and RAGBRAI just so happens to equal 38. So he creates this event when he's 38, and it equals 38 in gematria. It was 8 months and 1 day after his birthday. The word bike equals 81. And this year it began in a town called Ottawa that equals 81. The other guy, I did find him. I looked him up, and his name was John Karras. And he just turned 88 years old on March 10th this year. So if that was March 10th, if you go back and think about it, that means he was 43 years old when RAGBRAI began. And his name just so happens to equal 43. And with the S exception, it equals 52. And RAGBRAI at reverse reduced equals 52. And register equals 52, the newspaper who sponsors it. So 52, his name equals 52. He was 43 and his name equals 43 when he founded it. Also, another thing that's interesting is this guy's wife just recently died. She died in 2017. And she died 115 days before his birthday. And his name, the big way, equals 115. And the picture they show in this article is they say that he lived, and he still lives, on Scottish Rite Park. You know, talking about the Freemasons are the people who founded this country, and, you know, everything about this country is based on Freemasonic principles. Washington, D.C. is where the headquarters of Freemasonry even is. Think about the Scottish Rite Freemasons. This guy lives on Scottish Rite Park, and he's pictured here with Scottish Rite Freemason, former governor of Iowa, Terry Branstad. You know, then he lives on Scottish Rite Park. If you write Scottish Rite Freemasonry, it equals 115. It's not the technical way to write it, but it's still interesting. If you just write out Freemasons, it equals 115. Register equals 115. And Terry Branstad, the former governor of Iowa, his name equals the same as Scottish Rite. He's a Scottish Rite Freemason. Super fitting. This guy's wife also, her name is Anne Scott Karras. And that equals 174. And look, she died 174 days before her birthday. Right? Or after her birthday. 174 days, her name equals 174. I can't tell you how many times this actually happens. I mean, I've documented so many times where this happens. But people who are somewhat well known or celebrities all the time, their name, whatever they're famous for, their name either syncs up to that or their birthday syncs up to it, and they always die synced up to either their birthday or what they're famous for, or sometimes both, and multiple other things. So I also found it interesting, as much as I've been documenting about the Indians and the Cubs again, and all these connections coming up. It says originally this John Karras guy was from Cleveland, and the guy who died, Donald Call, he was from Detroit. So Detroit and Cleveland, and Detroit is the team who, in a roundabout way, cursed the Cleveland Indians from the Rocky Colavito trade, and Detroit was also the team that the Cubs were cursed by the curse of the Billy Goat, and Detroit was also the last team that the Cubs had won a World Series against in 1908. And, you know, it's all synced up to the number 624. Cleveland, or Rocky Colavito equals 624. Detroit Tigers equals 624. Cleveland and Detroit even played this year. They began a series on, or they played each other on June 24th, 624, which is the anniversary of Freemasonry being founded in the year 1717. And in 1908, the previous time the Cubs had won the World Series, Grover Cleveland died on that day, 624, 108 days before the World Series began that year. And then the Cubs broke the 108 year curse. The Willis Tower's 108 stories tall. They won the World Series after it started raining, and then it ended the drought. They went to 10 innings, and the Cubs won the 10th inning with 8 runs, 108. The last time that they even scored in a World Series was on 10-8 of 1945. There's so many 108s, it's not even funny. So just found it interesting that I would, I talk about these synchronicity things as well. And for whatever reason, I looked at this story, and it was right around the same time that George Bush's heart doctor supposedly got murdered on a drive-by bike shooting, so just interesting. I'll leave the video there. Just wanted to make a quick video showing RAGBRAI, the founders of RAGBRAI, and how they're synced up to the year it was founded. And, also, what are the odds that one of the founders dies on the same day that RAGBRAI begins, out of all the days, Just like three of the first five presidents die on July 4th. And two of them die in 1826. The other one dies 1,826 days later, even. Oh, the odds. Happens all throughout history. So just please learn to apply this knowledge. It's very simple. You can learn it in 15 minutes. And I'm sure you'll find just as much as I can, and we can help each other out. And we can figure out what is truly going on in this world. So have a good one. Peace.